On the suite level of Dow Diamond, this is Success Suite. I'm Sarah Stockford, and with me today is Terri Johnson. Terri is the president and CEO of Greater Midland. She serves on numerous boards and committees, including the Owners Committee of the H Hotel and vice chair of the Board of Trustees for Greater Midland. She also spent 36 years at Dow and she served multiple different roles, and she's also a steward for the Greater Midland brand. Terri, welcome.
Thank you, Sarah. It's really fun to be here.
I know. It's so nice to have you. It's so easy, 4 minutes down the road. So
I should have walked over here is what I should have done, but I drove.
Well, rainy day. That can be the excuse, right?
Okay.
Yes. Well, I really appreciate you coming on here. I think kind of just really want to dive in. I think just going off of the 36 years at Dow, you've obviously been in Midland for a really long time. So what kind of had you made that transition from 36 years at Dow to CEO and president of Greater Midland?
Yeah, it's been a journey, and if I go all the way back to my start at Dow and why I even selected there, being a hometown girl here in the Great Lakes Bay region and growing up in Saginaw and spending more time now living in Midland than in Saginaw, but I still consider this my hometown region. And starting working for Dow 36 years ago, my dad worked for Dow. I walked the halls as a little girl in Dow and knew that this was kind of where I wanted to be. And so spending the time at Dow just gave me such experiences professionally, personally, growth, things around travel, just experiences and opportunities that I could have never imagined, even when I was in school. And so, taking the time and finalizing, okay, this is the time to tap out at Dow and to look at what's the next adventure in my journey. And Greater Midland has always been part of my my journey as well, being part of the board structures for many, many years, and knowing that my kids grew up in the center and my husband and I are very active, and it's home for me. Mm-hmm. And so having that opportunity now to work alongside so many passionate employees is just a dream come true.
Mm-hmm. I bet. And especially I know you held so many different roles at Dow too. I know you like marketing and sales. I know you said you had public affairs. So I guess how have you taken kind of those strategies and kind of those roles and brought them to Greater Midland?
Yeah, in my time at Dow was actually very interesting in its path because when I graduated college, I went right into sales when the sales offices were all in the region. So I started in Dow in Atlanta, Georgia, and understanding the whole sales aspect, and then moved back to Midland to understand customer service, then going into marketing before I entered into public affairs, which has been the majority of my time with the company, which gives you so much experience around whether it's crisis or just overall, how do you build relationships and network and give back in the philanthropy part of things. So all of those journeys and steps along the way, I think, have brought an ability to take to Greater Midland a diverse set of experiences and capabilities to hopefully uplift the organization to take it to the next level of performance.
Mm-hmm. That's great. Yeah. And I know, obviously you've served different leadership roles too, kind of across, the board too, just based off, I was reading your bio and different things like that, doing my research, hopefully. But I guess what faced the most challenges for you? Like, is there a certain role that you were like, I know you said public affairs, but there was a certain time period or maybe even a certain event where you're like, okay, this is a challenge I can now take with me throughout my entire career. Any advice that you have for young professionals that you learned maybe from a certain lesson?
Yeah, two things come to mind. One, for a period of my Dow career, I managed crisis communications. Wow. And so nothing's more challenging or a better learning opportunity is when you're kind of feet in the fire when there's things going on. And there was an issue that Dow dealt with locally from an environmental perspective many, many years ago, and I led that initiative. And so when you're in, again, your hometown with people that you know and you care so much about this community, and you had to deal with a crisis, really taught me a lot. Mm-hmm. And it gave me opportunities to really not defend the company, because it wasn't about defending, but telling the story of the power of Dow being in this community and the benefit. So that was a big learning opportunity that I think right now just gives you the opportunity to face anything, both personally and professionally, to be able to think through, position, understand all perspectives. So you're putting yourself in their shoes to be able to understand the positions that you're dealing with has been very valuable to me. And hopefully it's something that I can bring to whatever job or whatever opportunity I'm doing, faced with. The second thing is, which taught me a lot, is doing community relations. And it's not very often where you get to do community relations to your own community, back to growing up in this region. And so really understanding where to invest in and how to really try to take the community to the next level of attraction, retention, and a great place to work, live, and play. And so that's been probably the biggest thing that I could bring to the Greater Midland organization is networks, relationships, understanding the landscape of not just Midland, but the region, and really kind of telling our story of impact, because we're probably the story that many people don't know. They think Greater Midland, they think the community center, they think swimming pools and gyms. And it's so much more than that, and it really is a big fabric of the community. So that community engagement has really built a lot of foundational expertise that I just value and hopefully can transfer into meaning for the organization.
Yeah, that's great. I mean, it just sounds, just based off of everything that you even just said, it sounds like you can deal with crisis like calmly. You've probably learned a lot of that, of, there's a lot of fires. How can I calmly, figure this out? And then even you talking about the community aspect of it too. I think when I moved back, not understanding like what Greater Midland is, I think, like you said, Greater Midland, the community center, but there's the tennis center, and there's so many different things kind of going on with you guys. And that's such a great piece of the community that, I think us at 100.9 The Mit too have kind of all involved ourselves with. And I think just from your perspective too, I know community wellness is obviously a huge thing for Greater Midland. So tell me a little bit about your perspective of what community wellness looks like for Midland, and kind of how that's going to carry throughout the years in the next decade or so.
Community wellness, or just wellness overall, personal wellness, is defined so differently depending on the individual or the community, and there's so many variables that kind of that really go into what does it mean to be a strong community, a well community. Midland's incredibly blessed, because we have the foundation of a large company like Dow, which has really committed to building the community and giving it resources, both from an attraction and just an excitement. A community of our size, to have something like the Midland Center for the Arts, or to have the hospital systems as strong as we have, or the school systems. So you have everything from recreation to the things that you need to just really be well, is just impressive. And sometimes we might take it for granted a little bit if you're not needing it, but when you need it, you sure want it to be there. And so organizations like United Way, that really supports a variety of organizations that are at the heartbeat of everything that people need. Again, whether you need it or you're trying to find, something to really sink your teeth into. What I would say from a Greater Midland perspective is that we started in 1919 as an organization. Herbert Dow himself actually, in his journey to build the company, realized that you have to have a strong community to have strong businesses. And then you need strong businesses to have strong communities. And so he started the first community center, and it was a big dance hall. And it was just for the community to get together and to focus on well-being. So even back in 1919, maybe we didn't call it well-being or mental well-being or the terms that we have today, but it sure was the root of everything. Started with Greater Midland.
Yeah, that's great. And I didn't even know half that stuff. But even, like you said, just also kind of making your own community too. I think Midland does a great job, though, of kind of including everybody. And, there's a lot of different opportunities to get involved and different things like that. And I guess, too, even just kind of going back to your career and different things like that, how do you think, too, you've kind of taken, your corporate abilities, too, and translated it into success for Greater Midland?
When you start off in your career, and maybe it starts when you're young and you go through your education, and then you start to think through opportunities when you intern to when you start your career, there's many paths you can take. And I think the biggest opportunity is to be able to really go and have all these diverse experiences to, one, find out what you're good at and what your passion is, and then taking your passion and driving it into purpose. And, the old saying of, do what you love and love what you do, it's so true. And I think, at the age and the experience level that I'm at right now, you look back and you think back about, did you really put your heart and soul into it? And I think my corporate career and experiences and the networks and the relationships and the mentors that I've had along the way completely aligned well with going into a nonprofit or a community-based organization. Because at the end of the day, you still have to have strategy, you still have to have a vision, you still have to motivate your teams, you have to find ways in which you attract employees and you retain them. And so it doesn't matter where you work, you still have a lot of the key foundational things that you have to go and build. And so for me to switch after 36 years of Dow into Greater Midland, I found it to be, on one hand, an easy transition, but I also have to remember that cultures are different, and you have to really understand the culture and the vision of that organization. And that took me a little while to get used to as well.
Yeah, and I think too, when culture is such a big thing for an organization or a business as a whole. If you can build a great culture, which it seems like you have at Greater Midland, you can retain that talent and keep people here for a lot of years, and that's obviously what we all want to see for Midland. But I know there's kind of a key piece that I really love to talk about that you had mentioned, which is mentorship, and being, I guess, kind of early on in my career, finding mentors is obviously very super important. So I guess what advice would you even give me or just young professionals as a whole when you're trying to find mentors to kind of guide you along your way? I guess how would you find them, or how do you kind of select them for yourself?
So mentorship was really key to my development throughout all my professional career. And I was really blessed early on to have some very strong mentors that truly were authentic and honest and open, but it was based on a relationship that it was meaningful and purposeful. There are programs where you submit your name and you get hooked up with another person, and then let's be mentors. Sometimes I think you have to really understand the reason and why you go into different mentoring relationships, because you have mentorships, you have maybe ambassadorships, you have supporters, and they all play very, very different roles in helping you develop and grow. The other thing I would say is mentorships go two ways. I often learn more when I'm being asked to be a mentor than sometimes when I talk with my mentors. And so this whole cross-mentoring and doing it for reasons of probably growing yourself or helping somebody else, I think there's equal value. But a big fan of creating opportunities to be vulnerable, to have mentors, because that's where you grow and you can really get some good insights and feedback, and also giving back, because I think it's an equal learning opportunity.
Definitely. Yeah, and I think like you even said too, just a good connection and good relationship can even help that, and just kind of grow and, building those things.
Yeah, we just started, matter of fact, a couple of weeks ago, and we did leverage this from Dow, so I don't want to say that it was something that we made up, but we started a program where you select to be part of the program, and every month you get paired with a different employee throughout any of our operating units.
Oh, how cool.
At any level, at any job, at any operating area. And so every month you get an email saying you're partnering with this employee. And
cool.
The person first on the list sets up the meeting, and you get together. And we just started it last month, and my first mentoring or relationship program was with a personal trainer at Greater Midland that I've met, but I've never had an opportunity to really get to know. So you start to get to know more people. You feel like you're part of something bigger. You have a greater appreciation for all the diverse positions. Sometimes I think we're always, our job is the hardest, and, you stay so internal focused that you got to pick your head up sometimes and really understand what's around you to feel, maybe blessed that you're part of that organization or you get to know them. And so now you pass them in the hall and it's not hi, it's hi, and you know their names and you know who they are. And so we're really excited. So out of the gate, we had about 80 employees sign up to do this.
Oh, cool.
And we want that to continue to grow.
Yeah, that's awesome. Especially too, because I think you can get in like a bigger organization in your kind of own bubble. You work with the same people, you're in the same department. But yeah, that's great that you can kind of like cross-reference, and then, it's better. Everybody kind of meshes better when they know each other, or can build a relationship.
Sometimes I'll pick my head up from my computer and realize that I've been sitting in the same chair in the same office for like 5 hours, and yeah, of course you have to have time where you have think time or work time, but getting out and about and engaging it just brings you closer into your organization.
Yeah, definitely. I know when my Oura ring was like, hey, stretch your legs, it's like, okay, maybe I do walk and go say hello to somebody. Yes, right. Exactly. I guess, and last question too, this is a fun question for me, but in the Great Lakes Bay region, restaurant recommendations, or where would you go?
Well, you kind of started off that I was on the chair of the
owners committee. Yes.
So you cannot go wrong if you're hitting any of the establishments as it relates to the H Hotel.
Perfect.
The service, the quality of the food, the environment, the atmosphere, they're all about giving you an experience, and so they're just top notch. But I also like to go around the Great Lakes Bay. This past weekend, I just went to H2O in Bay City
on the water. Yeah, I love that
great
restaurant.
Experience. Good food, good environment, and so just getting out and trying something new, whether it's kind of a corner pub in a different location in the Great Lakes Bay, or some of the famous restaurants around here that we love to go to, like Grazie. And there's so many. But I'll tell you, the H Hotel, they do it right.
Yes, they really do. I was going to say Oxygen Bar, Zinc Cafe, all of it.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Terri, for coming on. I very much enjoyed talking to you, and can't wait to see you around the community.
Yeah, thanks, Sarah. Thanks for what you do to really story tell and to really bring the community smaller so that we all feel like we're part of something bigger. Yeah. So thank you.
Well, thank you.